Here's the biblical story in a nutshell. God created the whole world. Sin is real. All of creation is infected by sin. Death comes into the world because of sin, and disease and anguish and crookedness, and all of that comes into the world because of sin. On the cross, Jesus defeats his greatest enemy of Satan. He defeats sin, and he defeats death. But if he had ever stayed in the grave and just stayed there and not rose from the dead, he would not have been victorious. And so the Apostle Paul, who penned a ton of the New Testament, says, if the resurrection is not real, all of us who believe this are the most to be pitied. Because what he's saying is, if the resurrection's not real, this is all a farce. So if you're in here and you're not a believer, and all this Christian stuff kind of bugs you, if you ever want to take it down, disprove the resurrection. If you can disprove the resurrection, you take the foundation out of Christianity at its very core level. Now, I don't think you'll probably be very successful at it. There's a lot of people who've tried, and we're over 2,000 years into this game, and it's still going. So I think it could be hard, but that's how essential the resurrection is to our faith. And here's the thing with the resurrection. A great way to think about it is if you understand that sin is real. It's like sin is a fire, and it's burned down the forest of all of creation and all of us, and we're blackened branches. This comes from a songwriter. We're blackened branches. Jesus' death on the cross and his victory over the grave, the resurrection, is like the springtime green of new life coming to a burned down forest. You guys would understand that illustration a little bit more in Prescott, right? So it's the springtime green. It's new life being born, saying, I really am setting things right. Now, if you're a thinking person in here and you go, okay, wait a minute. So Jesus' death on the cross claimed victory over Satan, sin, and death, and all of disease and all the effects of sin, and his resurrection brought the new day, like the metaphor of spring, new life, that God is setting the world straight, then you would have to ask the question, why suffering then? Why do we still live in this time and season where we're experiencing so much anguish, so much sin, so much death, so much disease? Why are people being raped? Why are babies dying? Why are divorces happening? Why is there so much conflict in relationships? There's a biblical scholar, a German guy who wrote around the time of World War II. His name was Oscar Kuhlmann, and he used this illustration of where we are in biblical history. And he said it's kind of like in World War II, you had D-Day and then you had V-Day. So you had a moment where it was very clear, after we stormed the beaches at Normandy and even a little bit before and after, where everybody goes, the war is won. It's been decided. But the actual war doesn't end, that's in June, doesn't end till mid-August. So in between those months, there's still a lot of death, there's still a lot of anguish, there's still a lot of fear. And Oscar Kuhlmann says that's where we live in biblical history. In between these ages, the victory's been won, but we're waiting for it to finally end when Jesus returns. And our promise that it's going to come to fruition is the resurrection.